Welcome to Recovery Rising, where we explore the intersection of tarot, magic, and spirituality for holistic wellness. I'm your host, Ross, and today we're talking about my journey with bipolar disorder and chaos magic. I've struggled with mental health issues for most of my life, and it wasn't until I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder that things started to make sense. But even with the diagnosis, the journey wasn't easy. I've had my fair share of ups and downs, and it wasn't until I discovered Chaos Magick that things started to shift. Chaos Magick is a spiritual practice that embraces the powers of chaos and disorder. It's a belief system that says we can harness the energy of chaos to create positive change in our lives. And for me, it was like finding a missing piece of the puzzle. I got into Chaos Magick within the first year of my recovery, around 2017. It was like a breath of fresh air, giving a name to what I was already doing and making sense of my experiences I had had up to that point. It was also a great way for me to work through some of the heavy things I had to process and let go of. Through Chaos Magick, I was able to find meaning and purpose in the midst of chaos. I started to see my manic episodes as initiatory experiences, like a spiritual awakening. It was like the universe was trying to tell me something, and I was finally listening. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. There were still days where I struggled, days when I felt like giving up, but the difference was I had a new perspective. I started to see my struggles as opportunities for growth and learning. And that's what I want to share with you today. I want to show you that no matter what you're going through, no matter how chaotic your life may seem, there is always a way to find meaning and purpose. It may not be easy, but it's worth it. So if you're struggling with mental health issues, or if you're just looking for a way to make sense of the chaos in your life, I invite you to join me on this journey. Let's explore the intersection of tarot, magic, and spirituality for holistic wellness and see where it takes us. I lived with bipolar disorder for as long as I can remember. I was first diagnosed at age 12, but I didn't really understand what it meant until I had my first manic episode in my late 20s. It was like a switch flipped and everything went haywire. I was on top of the world, convinced I was the most important person in the universe. I was creative, energetic, and unstoppable, but I was also reckless, impulsive, and out of control. I remember the first time I was hospitalized. It was like a spiritual awakening. I was in a psych ward surrounded by people who were struggling just as much as I was. It was like we were all in this together, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't alone. But it was also terrifying. I was in a place where I couldn't escape the pain and the fear. I had to face it head on, and that was incredibly difficult. But that experience changed me. It made me realize that bipolar disorder wasn't a curse, it was a blessing. It was a unique lens through which I saw the world. It gave me a sense of purpose and passion that I wouldn't have otherwise. It also gave me a sense of empathy and compassion that I wouldn't have otherwise. I started to see the world in a different way, and I started to see myself in a different way. Of course, it wasn't easy. There were still days when I struggled, days when I felt like giving up, but I knew that I couldn't. I had a purpose, a reason for being, and that purpose was to help others who were struggling just as much as I was. I started to speak about my experiences and to share my story with others. I started to advocate for mental health awareness to try and break the stigma that surrounds mental illness. And it's been a journey of ups and downs, of highs and lows, but it's a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything. It's a journey that has taught me so much about myself, about the world, and about the people around me. It's a journey that has given me a sense of purpose and passion that I wouldn't have otherwise. So, yes, I have bipolar disorder, and yes, it's a challenge, but it's also a blessing. It's a unique lens through which I see the world, and it's a source of strength and resilience that I wouldn't have otherwise. I wouldn't trade it for anything, because it's a part of who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. Living with bipolar disorder is a constant challenge. When I'm not medicated, the highs and lows can be debilitating. The depression can be so severe that I sleep for hours on end, unable to muster the energy to do anything. On the other hand, the mania can make me feel like I'm unstoppable, leading to reckless spending, delusions, and even hallucinations. These episodes have taken a toll on my relationships, both romantic and familial. I've lost count of the number of friends and loved ones who have walked away unable to cope with the unpredictability of my behavior. I've lost jobs, opportunities, and even my sense of self-worth. But despite all the challenges, I've learned valuable lessons from living with bipolar disorder. I've learned the importance of self-care, of taking care of myself, and prioritizing my well-being. I've learned to be kind to myself, to acknowledge that I'm not alone in this struggle, and to seek help when I need it. One of the most important lessons I've learned is the power of ritual and routine. By establishing a daily routine, I've been able to create a sense of stability and structure in my life. This includes everything from meditation and exercise to journaling and creative pursuits. These rituals have helped me stay grounded and to recognize the warning signs of impending episodes and to take proactive steps to manage my symptoms. But it's not just about medication and therapy. I've also turned to spiritual and magical practices to help me cope with the challenges of bipolar disorder. For me, this includes working with crystals, incense, and rituals that help me connect with the natural world and tap into my inner strength. These practices have helped me to find meaning and purpose in my struggles, to see my bipolar disorder as a gift rather than a curse. Of course, there are still days when it feels like the challenges are insurmountable, days when the depression is so overwhelming that I can't get out of bed, or the mania is so intense that I feel like I'm losing control. But on those days, I remind myself of the lessons I've learned, of the strength and resilience that I've built over time. Living with bipolar disorder is not easy, but it has taught me to appreciate the beauty in the darkness, to find the meaning in the chaos, and to embrace the complexity of my own humanity. I may never be able to overcome the challenges of this condition, but I've learned to live with it, to thrive in spite of it, and to find joy in the journey. I've always struggled to make sense of my experiences with bipolar disorder. The highs and the lows, the mania and depression, the endless cycles of medication and therapy, but it wasn't until I discovered Chaos Magick that I began to see my experiences in a new light. One of the core practices of Chaos Magick is the concept of belief. In Chaos Magick, belief is seen as a tool for shaping reality, for creating meaning and purpose in our lives. And it was this concept that gave me the power to repurpose my experiences with bipolar disorder. Through belief shifting, reality shifting, and paradigm shifting, I was able to choose what my experiences meant. I chose to see my struggles with bipolar disorder as a journey of healing and self-discovery, despite the fear and uncertainty that came with it. I chose to see my experiences as a catalyst for growth, for learning, and for deepening my connection with myself and with others. This shift in perspective was nothing short of transformative. Suddenly, my experiences with bipolar disorder weren't something to be ashamed of or hidden away. They were something to be celebrated, to be embraced, and as I began to share my experiences with others, I saw the power of this belief in action. I ran a podcast sharing my story and my struggles, and people began to resonate with it. They saw hope in my words, hope for their own recovery, and hope for a future free from the stigma of mental illness. I saw how my experiences, once a source of shame and pain, were now a source of strength and inspiration. But it wasn't just my own experiences that I was able to repurpose. I began to see how the principles of Chaos Magick could be applied to help others. I started working with clients using belief shifting and reality shifting to help them reframe their own experiences, to find new meanings and new purposes in their lives. And I saw time and time again how this work has been able to bring about real and lasting change. For me, Chaos Magick was never about magic or rituals or spells. It was about the power of belief, the power of choosing what our experiences mean, and it was this power that gave me the strength to repurpose my experiences with bipolar disorder to turn something that was once a source of pain into a source of strength and inspiration. When I first experienced a psychotic break and was hospitalized, I felt a deep sense of shame and embarrassment. It was as if I had failed in some way or that I was broken beyond repair, and the stigma surrounding mental illness only made things worse. People didn't know what to think or how to react, and I felt like I had lost my place in society. But as I began to explore Chaos Magick, I started to see my experiences in a different light. I realized that my mental health struggles didn't define me as a person, but they did contribute to who I am in both positive and negative ways. I began to embrace my uniqueness, to see my autism, ADHD, and bipolar disorder as part of my identity rather than something to be ashamed of. Chaos Magick helped me to empower myself, to take control of my narrative, and to see my experiences as a source of strength and inspiration. I started to talk openly about my struggles, to share my story, and to connect with others who had gone through similar experiences. And as I did, I saw the power of embracing our uniqueness, of celebrating our differences, and of breaking free of the stigma that surrounds mental illness. So I want to encourage you, dear listener, to do the same. Embrace your own unique experiences, your own struggles, and your own strengths. Don't let the stigma surrounding mental illness hold you back, but rather see it as an opportunity to break free and to be yourself. You are not defined by your mental health, but it is a part of who you are, and that is something to be celebrated. Embrace your uniqueness and let it shine. Let your experiences, your struggles, and your strength be a source of inspiration and strength for others. Let us break free from the stigma that surrounds mental illness, and let's celebrate our differences together. Reflecting on my journey with bipolar disorder, I realized that self-discovery has played a crucial role in my healing and growth. At first, I struggled to understand what was happening to me, but as I sought help, I started to see glimmers of light in the distance. Therapy was a challenging but rewarding part of my journey. I remember feeling like I was lost in a dark forest, but my therapist helped me find my way. I started to share my experiences, my fears, and my hopes, and as I did, I began to gain a deeper understanding of myself and my struggles. As I continued on my journey, I started to see a nurse practitioner for medication management and continued to work through my specific issues with my therapist. This was a game changer for me. I finally felt like I had a team of people who were committed to helping me heal and grow. But it was through 12-step meetings that I really started to dig deep and explore my own self-discovery. The step working process was a journey of self-reflection and growth. I started to see my patterns and to understand the root causes of my struggles and develop new coping mechanisms. It was a challenging journey, but one that was incredibly rewarding. As I look back on my journey, I realize that self-discovery has been the key to healing and growth. Through therapy, peer groups, and 12-step meetings, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned about my triggers, my strengths, and my weaknesses. I've learned how to manage my emotions, how to communicate more effectively, and how to take care of myself. And as I've learned more about myself, I've started to feel more compassion and understanding for others. I've started to see that we're all struggling with something and that we're all doing the best we can. This has led to a sense of empathy and connection that I never knew was possible. To anyone who is struggling with bipolar disorder or any other mental health condition, I want to encourage you to embrace the journey of self-discovery. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. You will learn more about yourself, you will heal and grow, and you will find a sense of purpose and meaning that you never knew was possible. As I continue to reflect on my journey with bipolar disorder, I realize that Chaos Magick has had a profound influence on my perspective in healing and recovery. At its core, Chaos Magick is about embracing the power of small changes and the unpredictability of life. This resonates deeply with me as I've come to understand that it's the small incremental changes that can have the greatest impact on my well-being. One of the key concepts in Chaos Magick is the idea of meaning. Meaning, like belief, is a personal choice. I've chosen to find meaning and purpose in the challenging and difficult situations I've faced. This hasn't always been easy, but it has been a crucial part of my healing process. By attributing meaning to my experiences, I've been able to make sense of them and find a sense of purpose in the midst of chaos. This idea of meaning has also helped me to reframe my experiences in a more positive light. Instead of seeing my struggles as failures or setbacks, I've come to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. This shift in perspective has been incredibly empowering as it's allowed me to approach my challenges with a sense of hope and optimism. The concept of purpose is also deeply intertwined with the principles of Chaos Magick. In Chaos Magick, purpose is not fixed or predetermined destination, but rather a dynamic and evolving process. This resonates deeply with me as I've come to understand that my purpose is not a static entity, but rather a constantly evolving and adapting process. This understanding of purpose has been incredibly liberating as it's allowed me to approach my healing and recovery with a sense of flexibility and adaptability. I no longer feel like I have to have it all figured out or that I have to follow a predetermined path. Instead, I'm able to embrace the uncertainty and unpredictability of life and trust that I'll find my way as I go. In conclusion, Chaos Magick has had a profound influence on my perspective on healing and recovery. By embracing the power of small changes, finding meaning and purpose in challenging situations, and approaching purpose as a dynamic and evolving process, I've been able to find a sense of hope and optimism in the midst of chaos. This has been a crucial part of my healing process, and I'm grateful for the insights and perspectives that Chaos Magick has brought to my life. Living with bipolar disorder is like being initiated into a secret society that few others can understand. It's a constant reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a concept that is both terrifying and liberating. Every aspect of my life is impacted by this condition, from my physical body to my emotional well-being and even my spirituality. But in Chaos Magick, initiation is a transformative experience that changes the initiate's perspective and understanding of the world. And that's exactly what living with bipolar disorder has been for me, an initiatory experience that has forced me to confront the depths of my own soul. At first, it was a dark and lonely journey. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of emotions that I couldn't control. But as I began to learn about my condition, to understand the triggers and the symptoms, I started to see the interconnectedness of all things. I realized that my struggles were not isolated incidents, but rather a part of a larger tapestry that was woven from the threads of my own experiences, as well as the experiences of those who came before me. This perspective has helped me find meaning and purpose in my struggles. I no longer see my bipolar disorder as a curse, but rather as a catalyst for growth and transformation. It has pushed me to explore new hobbies and interests, to seek out therapy and medication, and to nurture my relationships with others. But most importantly, it has led me to embrace my spirituality and my magical practice. I have come to understand that my struggles are not just about me, but about the collective human experience, and that by sharing my story, I can help others who are struggling with their own initiations. So, in a way, my bipolar disorder has been a blessing in disguise. It has forced me to confront the depths of my own soul and to emerge stronger and wiser on the other side. It has taught me the value of resilience and the power of community, and it has shown me that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope. I hope that my story can serve as a beacon of hope for others who are struggling with their own initiations, whether they be physical, mental, or emotional. I hope that by sharing my experience, I can help others to find meaning and purpose in their own struggles and to emerge stronger and wiser on the other side. Living with bipolar disorder can be a lonely and isolating experience. For me, it was like being trapped in a dark and endless tunnel with no light in sight. I struggled to find the words to express what I was feeling, and I didn't know how to reach out for help. But as I began to seek help, I realized the importance of community and support. I started with my family, who were a constant source of love and encouragement. My mom, in particular, was a rock for me, always there to listen and offer guidance. But I also knew that I needed more than just my family's support. I needed to connect with others who understood what I was going through. So I started attending NAMI meetings and 12-step group meetings. These communities were a lifeline for me, a place where I could share my experiences and hear the stories of others who were struggling with similar struggles. I also started working with a therapist and a nurse practitioner who helped me to understand my condition and develop strategies for managing my symptoms. They were a constant source of support and guidance, always there to offer a listening ear and a helping hand. But I know that I'm not alone in this struggle. There are countless others out there who are struggling with bipolar disorder, feeling isolated and alone. And that's why I'm working to build an online community around this podcast, a place where people can come together and share their experiences, a place where they can find support and connection. If you're struggling with bipolar disorder, I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that there are people out there who understand what you're going through, who have been in your shoes, and who can offer support and guidance. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to build your own support network. Whether it's a therapist, a support group, or an online community, there are resources out there for you. And remember, you are not alone. You are part of a larger community of people who are struggling with bipolar disorder. We are in this together, and we can support and uplift each other on this journey. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to seek support. You are not alone, and together we can find a way forward. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Recovery Rising, Tarot Magic, and Spirituality for Holistic Wellness. I hope you enjoyed our journey into the realm of bipolar disorder, chaos magic, and the power of repurposing our experiences. As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with a few takeaways to ponder. First, our experiences, no matter how challenging they may be, can always be repurposed and reclaimed as turning points in our lives. They don't have to be endings, they can be new beginnings. Second, The power of self-care, self-reflection, and community is absolutely vital to living with bipolar disorder or any other mental health condition. Self-care practices like meditation, exercise, and creative pursuits can help us manage our symptoms and improve our overall well-being. Self-reflection and journaling can help us understand our thoughts and emotions and make sense of our experiences. In community, whether it's through support groups, therapy, or online forums, can provide us with the support and connection we need to feel less alone and more empowered. Finally, I want to encourage you to embrace your own unique experiences and perspectives, and to find meaning and purpose in your struggles. Your story is valuable and it can help others who are struggling. Don't be afraid to share it with others, and don't be afraid to seek help when you need it. Join us next time on Recovery Rising as we dive deeper into the world of tarot and explore how it can be a powerful tool for self-reflection and personal growth. We'll be discussing the cards that have helped us navigate our own recovery journeys and sharing tips and strategies for using tarot in your own self-care practice. Don't miss out. Join the Recovery Rising Discord server to connect with other listeners and share your own experiences and perspectives. We can't wait to hear from you.